Hi, Facebook friends. It is a time for another live with me. So I'm happy to have you in tonight. We're going to be talking about 3 ways that the Bible just straight up tells you how to conquer your fears. So if that is something that interests you, you are in the right place. Hang out with me for about 15-20 minutes and you will see a word that the Lord gave to me and has called me to give to you. And I think all of us could probably benefit from learning how to deal with our fears because we all have them. Fear is something we all struggle with and we always, our whole lives are going to be dealing with. So I'm Melody Reynolds. I'm an intentional living coach. I love to share Bible study stuff. When God gives me a word, I'm obedient to sharing it because if it can bless me, it can bless other people. And this was something that really blessed me this week. Hi, Megan. Hi, Shannon. Good to see you guys coming in. And so that is just something that I love to share about. I'm also really into essential oils. I'm a distributor with Young Living, and for me, both of those go together. So I'm going to share some oils that also help with fear tonight, along with, because I use oils when I'm reading my Bible. They go together. Oils are from plants, and God made plants, and it's our purest form of healing our bodies and keeping our bodies healthy. So I'll show you some oils that I use to help me with fears, because oils can actually help you with your emotions. So you're going to hear me talk about both. That's just what I love, and simplifying your life. And so hopefully you're connected with me here on the page, and if you're not, make sure that you do connect with me here, because I always try to share something valuable. And I want to honor your time. If you're going to take 10 minutes out of your busy day to watch me, I want you to get something from it. I want you to say, wow, that really gave me something to think about. Hi, Holly. Yes, well, we do. And so let's get into that, right? Fear is something that will always be a part of our lives because we're human. And so we're going to have fears. And actually the Bible, it's not that we're not expected to have fear. It's that we are expected to rely on God when those fearful times come to give us the grace to get through whatever it is we're going through. And it's very hard. It's very real. It can even, affect you physically. That's why you have so many people like myself that struggle with anxiety. I've always shared that here on the page, that I'm not perfect in any way. I have a lot of struggles, but if I can share those struggles and help somebody, then that's what I do. And that's what I'm called to do. So, if you are on, please make sure that you share this out with anybody, because you can actually hit the share button and share it with all of your followers. Maybe it's a word that will bless them. Let me know you're here by tapping on the hearts or the thumbs up, or just don't give me a mean face, okay? You don't want to make me cry, right? Because there are fears when you come on Facebook Live that, people aren't going to like you and they're not going to, want to listen to what you have to say. But you get over that. You get over that. And I'm going to tell you how. So first, let me show you what I did before I got on, because listen, I may look very comfortable here on camera, and I'm a lot more comfortable than I was 2 years ago, okay? Because I've done a lot of live broadcasts. But there are times when you got to kind of work yourself up to actually hitting that live button. Hi, Jules. It is for me too. So I use essential oils to help me all day long, y'all. I get up in the morning, they go on me almost immediately. And so, because they help me emotionally as well as with other things. But I rely on them very heavily, actually, to help my emotions and to support a better mood and, a calmness. So one that I like to use, and you can't get it yet, simple, not easy, going live. That's the perfect way to explain that, Shannon, because it is. You just hit a live button, but it's not always easy, because some days you just kind of feel like, you get those thoughts in your head well, do I have anything to say? Is anybody going to benefit from that? You got to sort of talk yourself out of that. Hey, Jess. So you cannot get this oil, but when it is available, I will announce it on the page. Valor, though, is one that I apply when I need that extra oomph, right? When I need to get calmed down and when I need to get myself worked up. to actually doing something. Also, Palo Santo is another great oil. It just helps to ward off negativity. And a lot of the oils will do that. It clears the space and brings in a very positive energy. And hey, Michelle, yes. And listen, energy is from God. God made the energy. Yes, you do, Shannon. You've been waiting to try those. Yeah, I really like Palo Santo. I got this at free a couple months ago, and I was surprised. It's not one that I would have picked, but it is great for calming and soothing. And when I say energy, it's not woo-woo-y stuff, okay? I'm not talking about like woo-woo witchcraft stuff. God made the energy that's in the earth, that surrounds the earth. He made the energy that's in our bodies, and plants have energy too. And when we use essential oils, we're getting the benefits of the energy, the life force of plants. It's not a woo-woo-y thing. So it all goes together. It kind of smells like, it's like woodsy and minty. I can't even describe it. But it makes me feel better. It smells a little bit like licorice. That's what my husband says. So if you like licorice. And then the last one is gratitude. This one is, I like to put this on my feet so that I'm walking in gratitude, because when you're grateful for things, fear is lessened, I think. Okay? Hi, Christine. Thank you. All right. So, those are my oils that I put on. And I will also usually put on some sacred frankincense before I come on. And so, y'all, if y'all could smell me, I smell like 6 different oils right now. Those are part, yes, complimentary of alternative medicine. Yes, you're studying in school. That's right. They go together. Okay. So those are my oils that I put on when I'm trying to get my courage up, okay? And they just calm me down. They make it so that I'm feeling very positive, right? Hey, Alyssa. So tonight we're going to be reading from 1 Samuel. We're going to be reading about David, because David gives us one of the best examples, I think, in the Bible of exactly what to do when you're facing a giant fear, a Goliath, okay? What is the difference in regular frankincense and sacred frankincense? They're different species. They're the same, frankincense, but they're different species of frankincense. So they're different. There's a difference in them. And sacred frankincense is a little more earthy than frankincense. It's a little richer than frankincense. I guess I could say it like that. Okay, so if you go to 1 Samuel, let's start reading in 1 Samuel 17, I've got my Bible here, 1747, if you want to follow along with me. Got my good old Bible. It's all marked up and written on this. How you know it's a good Bible? Because you've been in it. You don't want a Bible that looks perfect now. You want a Bible that looks like you've been in it. Hold on, let me unplug you, because I might be making extra noise in your ears, and I'm so sorry if I did. Okay. So y'all are just sitting on my couch with me, okay? Here we go. We're going into the Word. I gave you time to find it. If you didn't find it yet, you come back, okay? So let me just give you a little background. David has been sent by his dad to take his brothers some food, and they've been fighting in the battle against their enemies. And this giant steps forward, and everybody's running around scared to death, okay? Goliath. He's huge. He's literally this giant, huge man. And they don't know how they're going to defeat him. Like it says, other people were running away terrified. So nobody was sure that he could be beaten. So there's your lesson right there, right? Fear can look huge. That's part of the lesson. It can look huge at first when you look at it. When you're truly afraid of something, it can seem huge, larger than life, like a giant. Okay, so David kind of looks at this dude. David gets there. He's a shepherd boy. He's not in battle. He's not even old enough to be in battle. And he's like asking around, like, who is this guy? Who is this giant everybody's running away and they're terrified of? Like, he's not from our God. So why do you think that, why are you running? We have God on our side. And he gets some naysayers. Some of them are his family. I talked about that earlier in the week. Some of them were his family, and they were like, oh, you can't really do that. You're not really going to make it. David, go back to the field and, hang out with your sheep. Hello. So I taught a whole lesson on that right there. So he just keeps going, and finally he tells Saul, he's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take this man out. This is it. I'm done. Like, he's not from our God, and I am. I have God with me. I can do this, okay? So he says, so the men are running around, and they're scared. And at first, David is, Saul has him put on his armor, and David can't really handle all that armor. He's not used to it. He can't move around. So he goes to what he does know. He picks up his slingshot. He didn't need a sword. He didn't need all the armor. He knew his own gift and talent, and he knew that with God by his side, no matter how big that giant looked, he would be able to overcome him, okay? He did not falter in that. Even when people were saying, nah, dog, you ain't gonna do that. Basically that's what they said. You can't do that, man. What you talking? Go, you a shepherd. And here's what he does. So he says, let's go back to 45. Then David said to the Philistine, you come to me with a sword and a spear and a javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the ranks of Israel, whom you have defied. So he's speaking to the fear, because I'm going to tell you the 3 steps in just a minute. He's speaking to the fear. Then he says, this day the Lord will deliver you into my hand, and I will smite you. He's prophesying what's going to happen. I will smite you and cut off your head, and I will give the corpses of the army of the Philistines this day to the birds of the air and the wild beasts of the earth, and all that the earth may know that there is a God in heaven. And then in 47 he says, and all this assembly shall know that the Lord saves not with a sword and a spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands. And 48 says, when the Philistine came forward to meet David, David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet the Philistine. Okay, whole lot just happened. So let's go back and re-examine. So what are the 3 steps to conquer fear? What did David do? Number 1, when Saul starts telling him, you can't really do that. Like, how are you going to go attack this man? You're not even a soldier. David says, yeah, but I've already killed stuff with a slingshot. And it worked. And I saved my sheep, and I protected my sheep. So, it's going to work. I have some experience. So what did he do? He recalled his past victories. So when you're facing a fear, do as David did, because everything in the Bible is intentional, right? It's all here for a purpose, every word. Look at what you've already overcome. I don't care what the fear is. It doesn't matter what the fear is. It can be all kinds of different fears that we face. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of dying, fear of screwing up your kids. It really doesn't matter. We have fear about everything. That's how the enemy keeps us, distracted and convinced we can't do things. But David looked at his past victories and he said, oh, no. I have conquered things before. And he encouraged, it says that he actually encourages himself by recalling his past victories. So when you're looking at something, if it's debt, if it's whatever it may be, like someone's passing away in your family, there's all these different things that happen in our lives, right? Look at yourself and say, what have I done? What have I been able to live through and survive and come out of already? Look at your past victories. So that's step 1. And then number 2, speak to the fear. You're like, what? David spoke directly to Goliath. And he said, you're not going to win. And this is exactly what's going to happen to you because I got God on my side and you don't. So when you're looking at one of your fears and you're facing a fear and you're struggling with a fear, talk to it. We speak life or death with our tongues. You can make that fear a whole lot less. Talk to yourself. Yes, I can do this. And a lot of times I'll say, oh, no. When I start feeling anxiety really rising up in me, and it can be paralyzing. Anxiety can be paralyzing. I talk to it now. No, that's not true. That's not true. I'm not going to fail. That's not true. and I will actually tell that fear, no. The Lord says many, many times over in His Word, fear not. Fear not. That doesn't mean we don't feel fear, but it means that we continue to move forward in spite of it, right? And so, step 2 is to speak to your fears. Tell it to go. Kick it out of your mind. Refuse to accept that it's a part of your life. And yes, sometimes it will get the better of you. But when you're speaking to it, right, well then, Alyssa, you speak to that fog. You tell it, no, I'm not going to allow this fog to overtake me. You will disappear right now in Jesus' name. And I will have and start thinking clear thoughts right now. When you start using, here's the problem, you guys. We have the same power that got Jesus out of that tomb inside of us. Do you understand that? If we're true believers and we're walking with God, we have that same power living within us. But here's what we don't do. We don't access it. We do not activate it. We let it sit dormant, and then our fears take over our lives. And when you learn to start speaking things into your life and speaking things out of your life, you will understand that your words have more power. God created everything with the Word. Jesus was the Word, right? Made flesh. We have the power of the Word. We can speak what we want to see. So you tell it it's got to go. And I'm going to tell you something. When you do that, you start to feel more powerful, right? You start to feel like, I've got some control in this situation, because that's the bad part about anxiety. We feel out of control. I know, I've had, and still sometimes do, have major panic attacks. They are not as crippling as they used to be for me, though. And they rarely happen anymore. But I had a point in my life where I was having a panic attack just about every day. It was pretty much a daily occurrence for me. So I even dreaded waking up. Like, some of you will get that right now. You'll be like, me too. You're going to say that, me too, right now. Because you've had days like that. And, don't beat yourself up about that by any means, because that's a normal thing living in the world we live in right now. And if you ain't getting prayed up in the mornings, I'm just going to tell you, and getting into the Word or having some worship music, 5 minutes with God will help you feel like you can take on anything some days. Honestly. But start taking authority by speaking to the problem. And listen, I don't care if somebody thinks I'm crazy. I mean, sometimes I'm in my house and I'm just talking right on to my fears or whatever it is in my life. I speak to it, because guess what? We have that same power. So, I'm sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent there. So, number 1 is recall your past victories. What have you already accomplished and done and been through? Because a lot of times when you look at that, you will start to go, well, I can do this. I've been through harder things, or I've been through hard things, whatever it is. Number 2, speak to it and take authority. And then number 3, it says, I'm going to tell you to take action, okay? Because when David saw Goliath, right, Goliath starts approaching him. So he sees Goliath, right? And Goliath's blah, blah, blah. And David's like, nah, I'm going to take you down. And then Goliath, so the problem starts coming toward him. You ever had a problem that, like, you're looking at it, you're holding it off, right? And you just cannot avoid it. Like, it just keeps coming right at you, and you see it. And you cannot stop it. And you're just like, I'm going to have to hit this head on. Or you go into panic mode. I know, I've been there. The best thing you can do is what David did. It says, David ran quickly. Not only did he ran as hard and fast as he could toward the battle line to meet the Philistine. He didn't turn away. He didn't shrink back and, let the fears overcome him. He ran toward it. And that's why I say number 3 is to take action. A lot of times our fears are based just on the fact that we don't know something. We don't know how it's going to come out, or we've never dealt with it before, okay? And so when you cower down from it, you don't feel any power yourself. And it sort of overtakes you and overwhelms you. But when you see something coming at you, if you decide, I can do this, you look at what you've done in the past, you speak to it, and then you start taking action toward it, right? Hi, Cheryl. Thank you. When we sometimes just taking the first step towards something will give you the momentum and the motivation to take step 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And a lot of times we're fearful of the unknown, but when we finally take the action to work on it, to face it, to go through it, whatever it is, we figure out it's not going to kill us. And we're going to survive it. Yes, it can be hard. Yes, it can be draining. Yes, it can make you feel like you've been hit by a bus some days. Absolutely. I am not denying that. But I have found that when I take action, I feel like I have a little control in the situation. And I feel like I have more power when I start taking that step forward instead of, because a lot of times we procrastinate and we let the fear build and build and build and build and build and build until it is more giant than the first giant you thought it was, right? It becomes more powerful and the fear grows and it feeds on everything. And then it's like you've worked it all up in your head when if you had just taken action to start really just facing up to it, instead of that giant getting bigger, it starts to get smaller. So, and I'm not going to deny that taking action is probably the hardest part, right? Because we can talk about what we survived all day long. We can look at our past victories. We can speak to it, right? But the hard part is actually, especially when you're really afraid, when it's a real fear, the hard part is to take action in dealing with it. But it's also the most rewarding part. That's the part where you're going to see the most growth in your life. And I can promise you, sitting on the couch, or laying in bed and feeling that anxiety and thinking about that anxiety and worrying about your anxiety and, it's like it just compounds and compounds. You got to get up and take action, whatever that is. Just take the first step, and then it's going to feel like you're moving toward conquering it, okay? So if you want to read that, again, it's in, I was reading from 1 Samuel 17. If you have not, you're welcome, Christine. Thanks for joining in. If you have not read 1 Samuel, and especially about David, okay, you need, go read it right now. Go read it right now. You don't have to understand all of it. Go read the story. Because David is just, he's this shepherd hanging out in the field. He's the youngest son. He suddenly gets anointed to be king, and he's called to this battle, and he just hits it, man. It's very inspirational. And if you look at everything he does throughout this battle, it tells us exactly what we need to do in our battles. It's the same formula. It will work every time. So, because you do have the power within you, like I say here on the page all the time, you are more than a conqueror through Jesus Christ. You don't have to fight for victory. You fight from it. Christ already won the battle, right? You just got to go through and fight it and survive it. So, love you too, Bonnie. Thanks for joining in. Hey, Vicki, I didn't see you come in. Get all worked up about everything. And it's overwhelming. Exactly. How do I follow you? Christine, I think there should be a button somewhere that says follow, like above the video, I think. Or when the broadcast is over, click on my face and then you can hit follow. Just search Melody Reynolds Biz if you lose me. And it's Melodye. Vicki, you bring up a really good point. That's exactly what stops us. We feel overwhelmed and helpless. I would throw in the word helpless. But we feel overwhelmed. And then what happens when you feel overwhelmed is, this is what I did. You guys can tell me if you do the same or not. I used to shut down. So I would just go to like into hibernation mode and shut down because I literally could not function, right? And then, so what happens was the overwhelm got overwhelming. And I felt more overwhelmed. And then I felt defeated because I had spent days in bed. And then you feel powerless. And then you're disappointed in yourself. It all kind of compounds. But if you honestly look at the problem for what it is, and you encourage yourself, you build yourself up. And let me tell you something. This also in this battle, he has his brothers and Saul telling him that, yes, I used to isolate. Absolutely. Yes. And that is a defense mechanism. That's a defense. Go into shutdown mode because you just can't take anything else. But what I've discovered is when I take action toward it and I start speaking to the problem and I build myself up, then I don't run into that where I feel like I need to shut down anymore. I feel like I have the steps. I know what to do. So it is important that you learn how to encourage yourself. I'm going to end with this. It's important that you learn how to encourage yourself because you don't need to rely on everybody else to encourage you because at some point, and even David had naysayers, his brothers and the man that was his king that he looked up to, all told him, this is impossible. You cannot do this. What are you thinking? You are going to have people do that to you. They're going to tell you, this is not going to work out. What are you thinking? This isn't the way we've always done this, especially if you come from a poverty mentality or a scarcity mentality, and it's been a generational thing, then you're going to have people saying, you can't do that. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You're not going to teach school anymore. That's what I heard. You're not going to teach school anymore. What are you going to do then? What do you mean you're going to homeschool? You're going to do what? Well, your kid's going to be really awkward. They're not going to have any friends, and they're going to miss out on all the fun stuff about school. They're not going to learn anything. The homeschool kids aren't even socialized. If you're a homeschooler, I know you've heard that. Right? You're going to start a business. What are you going to do? You quit your teaching job and now you're going to start a business? Or you're going to stay home with your kid? Why would you want to do that? You've got a good job. There's going to be people that tell you things aren't going to work out. So you've got to learn how to encourage yourself, okay? You need to learn how, that's a skill that you need to ask the Lord to impart to you. How to do and show you how to do, because you are going to have people come at you, and they can be very well-meaning. They can be very concerned for what you're doing. But when you're breaking out of that bubble of what's always been, and people who are still in the same place they were 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and you're growing, you're going to have that come at you. So you need to figure out what motivates you and how you can encourage yourself. I keep a journal. I'm going to tell you 2 things you can do. I keep a journal. I journal out blessings the Lord has given me, things I've come through. I journal a lot of stuff out. But I go back through my journals. And then I like to keep, it's called an evidence file. And what it is a lot of times when people on here tell me, you know what, thank you, you really helped me to understand this, or I just love your page, you're so encouraging, or, if one of my business partners sends me something that says, you know what, thank you so much for calling me to doing this with you, I'm so excited, and it's really blessed my family. I will take screenshots of that, and I print it out, and I put it in an evidence file, and when I'm feeling really low, and I start forgetting that there is somebody out there listening to me and that I am important and that God has a plan for me, then I get that out and I look at it. And I go, oh yeah, last year this lady did say that this really helped her. Oh yeah, last year so-and-so joined me to do business and I'm teaching her how, and she's seeing, financial freedom now. Or, oh yeah, my kid is learning a lot. She's actually a grade level ahead in everything and about 4 grade levels ahead in reading. You know what I'm saying? So that is, yeah, Megan, that it helps me so much because we forget. Let me tell you something. You can have 20 people tell you you're fabulous, and you will remember the one person that told you you sucked. Right? You will have, for some reason, that really sticks with us. And we're, it like bothers us, and then we start to erase all the other 20 comments or all the other things that people have thanked us for or reached out and told us, that we helped them. We forget that part. So print it out. You don't have to even do it in color. Do it in black and white if you want to. It doesn't matter. Print it out. And when you're having those really low days, or save it on your phone. Make a photo album for your phone. However you want to do it. I like to print mine. I get it out and I just look through it and I go, yeah, that's right. It helps to build me up. It really does. It helps to build me up. And have a good friend. I don't have tons of friends, but I do have some amazing women in my life who will remind me, oh, no, you're not going in that pit today, honey. No, that pit has no room for you today. You're welcome, Ella. I sent you a couple of emails, Ella, so make sure you check and that you got them. But, you can say, oh, no. And be that friend to somebody as well. Sometimes we got to pull each other out of the pit that we like to go in. We like to go sit in our pit, right? And have a little bit of have a self-pity moment. That's okay. Just don't sit there too long, right? All right, guys. So that's my 3 tips. I'll give them to you really fast again. Recall your past victories. Speak to the problem. Take authority. And number 3, take action. Go read about David in 1 Samuel. I could teach 5,000 lessons on David in this battle. Okay? It's that good. Go read it for yourself. And, search some commentaries about it online. And I'm going to tell you, you'll be blessed by that. So if you want to check me out, I have everything over on my website at melodyreynolds.com. I do have a Bible study series over there that you can get for free. I think it's 5 videos that come to your email box. One the first day, the next one the second day. So you'll get them 5 days in a row where I teach you how to do what I just did tonight. How to look at your Bible, understand it, read it, and then apply it to your own life. I teach you exactly how to break that down. So I will put a link to that here for you. You're not going to get a bunch of emails from me. I only email out probably once or twice a week, and it's what I share here, the same kind of stuff. So if you're digging it, go grab that, and it will help you. I've been told by several people that, and I put it in my evidence file, that it helped them to understand their Bible and to read it and actually get something from it and apply it to their own lives, because that's what we need to do. The Word it's a guide. It's a life guide. It's going to show you, how to handle things. And I did that because I want everybody to learn to read it and be as blessed by it as I am. So I hope you have a great night. I'll be back here for sure Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you hop on then. And I got something special planned for the weekend. So make sure you're following me and you get notifications on the videos. I think it's up here at the top. It'll say get notified when Melody goes live, something like that. Because I got something special planned for the weekend. So you don't want to miss it. It's really going to be fun. All right. I hope. I plan to do it. If I don't, then it'll be next week. But I like to do spontaneous stuff. So I pray that you have a good evening. I pray that this blesses you. Go back and re-listen to it. Take some notes if you need to. I love you, and I will see you soon. Bye.